What up, what up, what up?
What up, man?
Nothing much, man. Just living life. How's it going?
Hey, listen, another day. Listen, it's just like last week, right? Listen, I woke up in the land of the living.
Right. Yes, man.
But I'm
Yeah.
gonna have a different one every week.
I'm really excited about this week's speaker, man. If you want to
Absolutely.
share and tell a little bit about first what we're doing and then who we have coming to the stage.
Yeah, absolutely. So, last week, what we had some nuggets that you were dropping
Mhm.
regarding, marketing and things of that nature. This is the Empower Conference brought to you by the Greater Works Tabernacle located in Conley, Georgia. Super excited to just not only be blessed by this particular church on Sundays, but then sometimes during the week, we got, one or two nuggets to share with the public.
Yeah, for sure. And I think this session that we're about to have today is super vital, especially dealing with that money, that cash, that moolah.
Yeah, yes, sir. And man, inside of COVID right now, man, it's just there's a lot of different things that are just coming to a head, and just some difficulties that some people might be walking through.
Mhm.
Last week we were kind of talking because there's a lot of people who wanted to start some businesses, right? So they wanted to know how to promote them and push them and things of that nature. So that was great. And then so this week we're going to the money piece, man. And we have an amazing individual. We had a chance to meet her back in May, right?
Sure did.
Uh, she,
She
she
dropped
was
some
great.
nuggets in.
What? And this is also an individual for myself who's been my financial advisor since first quarter last year.
Mhm.
Helped me get my money right, helped me get my credit right. And I'm just so excited to just see what she's gonna have to share this
Mhm.
particular evening. So she's located here in Atlanta, Georgia, and when I tell you that just every single time that I talk to her, I grow every single
Mhm.
time. And folks be acting like money's not everything, but it ranks up there with oxygen.
Facts.
You just breathe a little bit better when your money be right?
It's a little bit better.
Um,
Yes, sir.
and so I don't know, man. Hey, listen, everybody, save your questions till the end, all right? Because I know that there's going to be some things that she's going to run through. But CJ, anything before we just bring this amazing individual on board? What you think?
Nah, I don't have anything. I'm gonna
Let
let
me
her
get
go
out
ahead
the
and
way.
drop
I'm
those
get,
nuggets on us. So,
yes, sir.
Ashaunda, how you doing today?
I am amazing like you gentlemen. How are you guys?
We're good. We're good. First off, thank you for taking the time out and putting space on your calendar for us and to share these nuggets with us.
Absolutely.
We're really excited about what you had to say.
It is an honor. It's a pleasure. I think you gentlemen are doing a phenomenal job at leading the discussions that are necessary during this time. I think even if it wasn't necessarily a pandemic that we were experiencing, but just the shift overall that we're needing to see in our lives and businesses, you guys are bringing those important topics to the table. So kudos to the two of you.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
So Miss Davis, the money talk, right? So I know last time you were dropping just nuggets left and right of things that we need to focus on a little bit more and things that we need to do. I don't know if there's, I'm sure there's some things that you wanted to just maybe bring to us today, but let me can I start off with just a question if that's okay?
You sure can.
Okay, so let me just ask you this. During this pandemic or whatever that's been going on right now, what's one of what's one of the popular things that's popping out that you're just noticing with some of the clients that you're working with, and just some of the things that you're seeing, some of the trends? Anything?
I think the two primary things that I'm seeing is it's like all of the teachings, all of the lessons, all of the logic that has been spoken over the years about having an emergency fund. I think now people are seeing why,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so they're beginning to make the shift in their mindset as well as their disciplines and even automating. I had several clients who were very resistant to automating their savings.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's on
Mm-hmm.
autopilot.
Right.
So that's one of the primary. That's
Raise
one of
his
the
hand.
primary things I'm saying. Sometimes we don't when we don't experience a thing, we kind of still feel like it's out there drifting in the universe, right? It
Mhm.
hasn't yet touched home, and it definitely hadn't touched our backyards until now.
Right.
That's one. The second thing that I'm seeing is that with so much, no longer in this particular time frame, but when there was um, government funds coming in to support the PPPs and
Mm.
things along those lines, there were more people now with a larger sum of income that they were now able to eradicate certain things. They were able to eradicate debt, elevate their savings, and now there is a percentage of money that's still sitting, and a lot of them are looking at either investing in the traditional sense in their businesses, and I call those their concentrated assets,
Hmm.
or they're looking to invest it into the market. And obviously, um, when there's a dip in the market, you can essentially say that some of the stocks are on sale. So they were
Okay.
looking to purchase stocks at a sale or a discounted price.
Mm.
Hmm.
Okay. So what I really want to do is kind of sit back and I don't know, CJ, did you have any questions other because I know we're gonna do a Q&A at the end, but anything that you had, any questions you had since we get VIP, we VIP status, so we get to ask questions first before everybody else.
Right, right. Yeah, I'm kind of holding mine just in case she answers them during, whatever it is that you have to say, Miss Davis. So I'm gonna wait to the end, but yeah, I definitely will be asking some things. So I'm looking forward to hearing just what you have to say or whatever your message in this time dealing around finances is. We're all ears. The floor is
Get us
yours.
right. Get us right. Get us right, Miss Davis. Get us right.
So, oftentimes I start with the mindset and then I take it through strategies. And I'll usually elevate it from, making sure that you're financially stable. And I always believe that once you have your mind right, then that's the first step. That's the first action item. That's the first behavior that needs to occur. Taking an assessment of everything and making sure that you're stable. Then I always say, well, now let's make sure that you're secure. Do you have a financial floor that you can't fall through? Right? And so that involves the emergency funds, that also involves your risk management or your insurances. And then I talk to building and accumulating towards freedom, right? So, what I would love to do today is kind of do a reverse engineered approach in our conversation because we often find that there's not enough time to really have a robust conversation around investments and retirement. Now, let me also go ahead and put a disclaimer and a caveat. Because I am not Series 7 licensed, I can't speak specifically to individual stocks. Okay? But I can speak to the basket or the portfolio of stocks and bonds, which we call mutual funds. So I want to give some philosophy, I want to give some specific strategies, and I want to give you some concrete steps to take in getting yourselves prepared financially to being responsible for your future lifestyle, in addition to making sure that your current lifestyle still remains intact and that you're able to enjoy it. Is that fair? Okay. All right. So here's the thing. We often run in life. We're always getting something up and going. Our children right, ourselves right, our businesses right, but rarely do we slow down and take an assessment of how we want this future lifestyle to look. And I think in this particular time that we've experienced the pandemic and we can now see how it could potentially look without drawing an income, even if you're an individual on this call or on this Zoom or on this webinar, who God has blessed you, God has protected you, and you have been able to continue your streams of income, not just stream of income, your streams of income. That's a beautiful thing. But I want you just to imagine if you were one of the thousands or millions who were affected without an income. So now I'm going to forecast you out into the future. If you no longer have an income coming in, well, how do you sustain your lifestyle? Okay. So with that in mind, we all know that, but oftentimes, again, we don't sit back and just evaluate, man, what would life be like if I don't have enough or I don't have the appropriate amount, meaning I don't have enough to last or I don't have enough to enjoy my lifestyle when I'm not drawing in that income. And I really want that to anchor in. So that becomes one major key in identifying your strategy. The second key component is, okay, well, if you're accustomed to a $100,000 lifestyle today, keep in mind that $100,000 in today's dollars is not going to be $100,000 25, 30 years down the line. Oftentimes, it's double that amount because of inflation. So now we have to think, okay, not only do I want to live at 100,000, but that's really going to be 200,000. Now the third component is, well, how much do I need to be saving as well as earning in terms of a rate of return on my investments? And for how long do I need to make sure that those saving strategies are in place? And the fourth component is, which investment vehicles do I need to look at? So that's the piece, those are the pieces that I want to touch on in this conversation. Is that okay? Okay. So let's touch on, first and foremost, your time horizon. So do I want to use Mr. King? How old are you?
27.
I'm a young 43.
So keep in mind, let's say we just went with the traditional 65-year-old retirement. The prayer is that all of your businesses allow you to be free from having to work much sooner than 65.
Mm-hmm.
However, if you have to wait till 65, then you have, what is that calculation? 23 years, 22 years, 22 working years.
Mm.
Okay, yes.
You have about 22 working years, both in your company as well as in the company that you work for and in the companies that you've created.
Right.
So we have to make these 23 years count, or 22 years count.
Right.
And so with that being said, now it's a matter of, and this usually comes out to be somewhat of a big number, right? When I tell clients that they need to be saving somewhere between $2,000 and $3,000 a month to get you to, $100,000 a year in income, not even really looking at a 6% rate of return, oftentimes it's like a shocker, like, oh my God. And here's the reality. Most of us, again, we didn't have the financial literacy growing up as kids.
Right.
Keep it real. Two, we're already so far behind because usually our income growth was a lot slower on the trajectory, right, than our counterparts, right? And so there's that income gap, there's that income disparity. And so there's a lot of ground that we have to make up for. And all I want to do is really encourage and hopefully open up the minds of anyone and everyone that's listening to say, listen, if you don't slow down, B, if you don't get the actual numbers to where you can live your future life as well as you live in your current life, then there's going to be some disappointment in retirement. There's going to be some letdown. There's going to be some, oh my gosh, I can't take the annual trip to Greece, for example, like I desire to, right? But hold on one second, I'm going to come to your question. With a little bit more proper planning, and obviously there has to be the income capacity. Let me give you a quick example, then I'm going to throw it to you, Elam. I have clients who make over $10K a month, and their expenses sometimes run right up there to that $10K line. However, if we can begin to curb, because most of us we aren't trust fund babies. Our cash flow dictates what we're going to be able to do both now and in the future. So if we can literally curtail what we are spending our money on, to making sure that, listen, out of 10K, can I put aside 2K? That's only 20% of my income a month. So when you look at it from that perspective, it can become real. One thing before I toss it over to you, Elam, I've been looking at a documentary of Warren Buffett. Let's forget the modest home that he lives in. Let me tell you how serious this gentleman is about his spending, and then we'll talk about the investments piece again. From a spending standpoint, almost every morning he goes to McDonald's. He has three choices. It's like a $2.61 choice, a $2.71 choice, and a $3.79 choice. Depending on how well the market is doing, is what will determine which one of the choices he selects. We haven't
a whole billionaire, multi 50 plus billion this man sitting on.
52 plus billion last night.
Yeah.
I heard a recent podcast I was listening to, and the guy said, he's the number one motivational speaker in the world, but he learned what the rich do is live off like 30 to 40% of their income. Mm-hmm. And I was like, wow, I mean, I'm definitely living off 98.9% of my income right now.
I'm 99. Well, no, I'm not 99 anymore. I used to be. I've graduated.
Yes,
with the help of Ms. Davis.
Yes. And so I have even created room and comfort and trying to make my clients feel a little bit more at ease with a 60-20-20 split. Live on 60%. We talked about this last time. Save 20% and then play with your discretionary funds in that other segment at 20%. But I think about how Warren had a natural knack for numbers. He's always had an interest in numbers. He could sit and read the newspaper and various financials for 5 hours a day and just think through problems. And so one of the things that he did was he started with penny stocks, right? And then graduated to more solvent, more financially stable companies that had a fair stock price. But then he decided to get out of the selling, the trade, the day-to-day trades, and buy companies. So I'm talking about income capacity now, all right, and scaling, because he didn't try to remove any of the management. He just consistently bought large amounts of companies that he could ultimately control, but maintain management, allow them to operate autonomously, and that has helped him to accumulate his wealth. So when we're talking about our future lifestyle, like literally, we all know that he's living in the same home he's lived in for 30 plus years. We now know that he eats McDonald's almost every day on less than a $5 a day budget. We also know that he started with penny stocks that he earned a pretty decent return on. So I'm going to encourage those who are operating in Stash, Cash App, Robinhood, E-Trade, Ameritrade, have a segment of that 20% for investments going towards those particular types of investment strategies. But keep in mind that those have a high degree of volatility, right? And we're chasing returns, which is not a bad thing. But on that same vein, or in that same vein, make sure that your retirement accounts are growing at a decent rate, and that it's purposeful. And so what I find oftentimes is, and this is one of the things that I did when I was working for the school system, I literally didn't know what I was selecting when we were going through benefit elections, and you could enroll in the 401k or 403b for me. I didn't know all of the different funds that were available. I didn't know the fees that were associated with them. I didn't know, which particular companies were actually involved in the mutual funds. I didn't have any of that insight. And so I see the same issue happening with clients. I would advise you, where you can, to speak with your financial advisor to understand at least what those things mean. And also, are you contributing a decent amount based on your affordability? And what will that ultimately look like? And so when I say your financial advisor, I'm talking about either your independent advisor, but in many cases, there are advisors with your employers who can also help you to evaluate your current retirement plans and make sure that that strategy is strong while you're doing your individual investing as well. So I'll pause there. Elam, you wanted to say something.
Yeah, because you kind of went into the whole McDonald's thing, and I think that's a good just moment to rest in, because in this space, you have and maybe we're just used to eating out lunches and dinners and all that, and so how important really is it regarding just something like eating out? Or some of the leisure items that we just like, well, I've heard people say something like, well, I work all day, every day. I want to do something that makes me feel good,
Right.
So kind of looking at that, the eating out, and then just, hey, I want a pair of shoes, or I want, whatever, to make myself feel good. How does somebody, really get something like that in line?
I think that's a phenomenal question. I think, and I know that once you get yourself in line, then you get it in line. What do I mean by that? All of our decisions are driven by our emotions, and then they're later justified with our logic, right?
Okay.
So if you look at it from a logical lens, and I know a lot of individuals tell me I talk like a man because I'm so logical. I can't help it. I have a bit of my dad. My dad is very, very analytical. And my mom, she's a nurturer, right? She's going to take care of you and she's going to make sure you're okay. But in this particular regard, it's not about the feel good. So what I mean by that is when you're looking at your cash flow or your spending plan, then build in enough money to allow you to enjoy feeling, right? Those things that you naturally want. Build them in and then put a strategy around how you will go about it. So let me give you a case in point. I was working with a client today who said, and I just asked her, I said, how are you doing with your mindset and your behaviors around spending in the area of dining out? And she said, I still get tripped up. She said, I feel like, my friends are inviting me all the time. I don't know how to tell them no, and then I end up spending more than I anticipated. So I said, well, how do you feel like you could actually curb that? So she didn't have the answer just yet. I said, well, what if you took this amount that you have and you just allocated it where you are giving yourself permission to go out 5 to 7 times a month and spend X number of dollars? Does that sound more in line with what you're looking for? Do you feel like that would help keep you on track? And she said, absolutely. So for me, it is never about saying no, although I can tell a client that's not in your best interest, right?
Yes, you will. Yes.
I have had a client tell me that I will provide it to you and I'm going to talk to you straight with no chaser, but that's only because I want to protect you from yourself. And I think that's what a lot of people don't know how to do within and of themselves, and they don't have anybody who's holding them accountable as well to saying, listen, these are the guardrails that we need to put in place to make sure that these other goals you have are met. So manage yourself, and the short end of it is learn how to manage yourself, build in your spending plan enough so that you can have fun, right? And then begin to keep yourself within those parameters.
And it's so easy. It's so easy based off what you said. If you don't have that plan or that mindset to slip into spending more than you even realize you spent. For instance, we had an increase in income, but without even realizing it, when I looked back, I was surprised at how much I actually spent that month too. And like nothing had really changed. Like I hadn't bought a major purchase, like new car, new anything.
Little things.
How with all the little things added up, to right below what I made that month.
Yes.
And not having that plan or that mindset, it really snuck up on me. So I was surprised to see how easily that could happen.
And working with this same, or actually a different gentleman, today, we looked at his increase in income that's going to take place come October 1.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And we started planning out, well, what do we do with that extra 3%? And he's going to be receiving a bonus in December. What are the bonus? So if you plan it in advance, and you definitely, again, have somebody who's holding you to those plans, then it's a lot easier to make sure that what you want to happen actually happens versus defaulting into, and what I say again? Oh, well, hold on. That Rolex is looking real nice. Or let me go ahead and take the family on an all expense paid trip to Disney. You know what I mean? So it's a lot better to pre-plan than just coast.
And I think a lot of times, and I am guilty of this, with operating inside of a salary plus commission environment. On those months that, I had a great commission check, it's like, prior to working with you, I would spend the same amount as if the month where I didn't even hit my number, So whereas I might have a 5-figure commission check, it's the same as if I had a 3-figure commission check. And so I want to throw this to you because would you say this, our spending habits really do become kind of psychological, more of an addiction, no differently than somebody with nicotine? We get addicted to overspending.
Absolutely. One of Warren Buffett's sayings on his documentary is, and he didn't actually coin this quote, but it says that the chains of habit are too light to be felt until they are too heavy to be broken. I'm gonna
Come on, Nugget.
Yes, that one more time.
The chains of habit are too light to be felt until they are too heavy to be broken. So, so when you look at the small disciplines that occur over your lifespan, sometimes it's hard to undo what we've come to know. Right? It's hard to stop doing what comes now naturally.
Right.
But just like with anything, the more you practice unraveling it and replacing it with positive behaviors, positive mindsets, positive reinforcements, then you're creating a new habit that's, again, replacing the old habits.
And so, would you agree? I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Would you agree that, sometimes people are like, okay, well, so CJ, next month, let's just say you got a spike in, t-shirt sales, right? And then you guys are like, you and your wife are like, let's just save, right? And I'm throwing that to you because, perhaps that's sometimes some of the mentality that some people have or whatever. So in thinking about that, Ashaunda, is it easy to just save? I mean, I want to bring this down to a baseline because a lot of times people are like, oh, I'm going to get an extra $3,000 next month. I'm going to save it because I'm not used to it. That's not easy.
Why is it not easy?
If you haven't created the based upon the habits that you were just talking about, because I raise his hand. No, it's not. It hasn't been that easy for me in the past. However, through due diligence and, really, I had to know. I'm kind of joking about it, but I want to be very honest with everybody and just say that I was one of those individuals. So I'm just like, okay, yeah, I'm going to do it next month. And I didn't. Yeah. Even something simple as tithing, I had to get into a rhythm of doing it. Right. Because, I might have just had the fat check and I'm like, the plate come around. I'm like, the same $2 that I put in last week or last month, I do the same thing.
Right.
The
reason I challenge it being easy or not being easy is not just to mess with you, right? But it's to hopefully open up the minds of everyone what we say is difficult isn't always as difficult as we make it out to be, right? It really isn't. Now, that is not to say that we still don't need to make sure we have certain things in place. Forethought. Listen, what did God do? He created the earth from the end to the beginning. Yes, no? Can I get an amen?
Amen.
Okay.
Amen.
I just want to make
I
sure
don't do
we
amen.
all
I mean,
serve the same God and read the same book here, right? So
my bad.
I'm saying that because if you can cast your vision and then plan it, I mean, he laid out this earth in 7 days, y'all. In
Hmm.
7 days.
Right.
And I wasn't even expecting to go here. So, how many of us can lay out our life in 7 days? It's not a very easy task to do.
Hmm.
However, when we get to a place where we are intentional, number one, we're committed.
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
think that's where it starts. When we get to a place where we're committed to making these changes, when we're committed to living a life for Christ, right? Then certain old habits have to die. Certain old habits, but will also die over time,
Mm.
right? So when it comes to saving or being more disciplined in your spending or kind of changing your mindset, even around the fact that you are worth having more than enough,
Hmm.
right?
Come on.
Then it's a process that you can begin to implement one day at a time. What
Right.
is one thing you can do today
Hmm.
to move the needle for tomorrow? And then what can you do tomorrow to move the needle for the following day, which eventually moves into the rest of your life. So for me, on my spending sheet, saving and investing on your spending sheet, it's the first expense. If that's just the first thing that we can do, begin to recognize that we should be our first expense
Hmm.
versus our last,
Hmm.
that begins to create the shift in our awareness. It also increases and heightens the commitment,
Hmm.
right? And then you put the actual parameters around it, automated, or put a time schedule on your calendar that I'm going to manually move this money on the 28th of each month, for example,
Mm.
Right.
which is something that I did working commission, right? I wanted to make sure that I had myself on paper first, but in reality, I need to make sure those bills were paid so nobody came and got anything.
Right. Right.
Right?
Right.
By the 28th of every month, you guys, I always made sure I manually moved my savings, and now it's on autopilot.
Okay.
Feel
Mm.
that comfortable. So that's what I would highly recommend for the person who hasn't yet built the habit or the commitment.
I heard someone say, and we've heard plenty of people say it. People do what they really things you really want to do. You find a way to do it. For instance,
Right.
like tonight, I was at a family member's house and we wanted to watch the game.
Hmm.
We couldn't find the channel for the game. We downloaded apps on the TV to find it. We went upstairs, found an old antenna to hook it up and try to find that game. We spent about 30, 40 minutes doing things trying to find that game, and we finally found it. And it just made me think, like, when we really want to get something done, we
Right.
find a way to do it.
That,
Absolutely.
that and the fire stick. You know what I'm saying? If we make that
Right,
invest.
right. That was a Fire Stick. We were downloading apps. Trying to find
And it's crazy that you should say that because I know we kind of jump right into a lot of things, but a lot of people on this webinar may not understand my story. Like to your point, I did not have someone who was willing to guide me along my journey. So the very first time I sat down with a financial advisor, I was 27. I'm expecting some like just, I don't know, revealing information. There was absolutely zero value that I walked away with from that conversation.
Mm.
But I'm so determined to be financially responsible, the topic for today, right? 2 years later, I sit down. I'm sitting with a Caucasian man. Both of them were Caucasian men. Love them to pieces, really appreciate them because they are part of my story now. But he literally missed so many interim steps in me getting my financial structure and house in order And he literally just jumped to the roof and started a Roth IRA. Well, he asked zero questions about spending, zero questions about my savings, zero questions about my debt position. You understand what I'm saying? Even my understanding of investments. He just jumped in and said, this is the account that we're going to start, and we're going to start it with $50. Okay, well, what do I say after you've been listening to this guy talk and you like, Jesus Louise, I feel like I'm Charlie Brown listening to his mother, right? You can say, okay, all right already. But then being so hungry for this, finding Dave Ramsey and sitting in not one, but two of his courses, it was a matter of, okay, these are great tips, but for some reason, I'm not paying off my debt as quickly as some of my fellow colleagues in this classroom. Why is that? I don't know. I didn't know the answer. And I'm not saving nearly as much as they are. Well, why is that? I didn't have anybody looking at my blind spots. And so at the end of the day, it was God saying to me, Ashaunda, if you don't see it, be it. And so I literally became a financial strategist, wealth management advisor, registered investment advisor, because I was so hungry to get the information, right? For myself, first and foremost, and then to those who attracted to my message, to those who also are coming up through the ranks where their income is one level. And, most individuals think that they shouldn't speak to a financial advisor until they have X number of dollars in the bank or X number of dollars sitting on their asset and their balance sheet.
Right.
No, you speak to a financial advisor no matter where you are, as long as you have a commitment to move your position forward.
Right. There was a question from the floor, and I guess it kind of goes to, and I don't know how deep you were going to go into this. You were kind of talking about, you said something about automated payments in the beginning, and then the second thing you went into was government funds that are coming. And so Cherie Wallace asked a question with regard to what's the best way to set your business up for funding when it comes to grants or loans or whatever when you are a small business. So besides, connections and networking, what would be your thought to her question?
Okay, repeat her question for me one more time. What's the best way to set up your business in regards to business funding or receiving business funding? Is that what I heard?
Yeah, what's the best way to set your business up for funding, when it comes to grants and loans when you're a small business? So I think, and Cherie, if you're still on, please let us know. But let's say, for example, 4 or 5 months ago, when certain things kind of came down for the PPP or the SBA loan or whatever, and some people were not ready for that money, right? And so they missed it, right? And so maybe that's her direction, and or if that's not, I'm just thinking maybe she's just saying what's the best way to probably just get some money for your business and set your business up so that you can acquire some additional funds besides your own cash flow.
Okay. So there's 3 ways that I can take that specific answer, and that is not my wheelhouse, so to speak, but of course, being a business owner, I have experience.
And she said yes to receive grants or loans. Yeah. Okay. Sorry.
Okay. So there's a difference between receiving grants and loans from the government, of course, during this pandemic time frame that we're in, and receiving grants and loans in the future. One of the things that I often see that I'm going to encourage everyone who is establishing their business is to make sure that all of your business paperwork and fundamentals are in place. Like it is a shame that we don't have the proper business structures done, sitting on the shelf, so that when you need to pull it and submit it with your paperwork, you can. It's done. The second thing that I often see is that we are running and gunning, that oftentimes we miss either the tax filing deadline, or we don't adhere to it at all. And so when it comes to needing to file or to apply for grants and loans, and they're asking for your returns, your Schedule Cs, your this and that, oftentimes we're not in a position to provide it quickly because we don't have it. So let's also get into the habit of making sure all the necessary tax filings are done within a reasonable time frame. Even if you don't get it complete by April the 15th, make sure they're done by year end. that will help again to position you to take that second piece off the shelf and attach it to the application process. From a grant standpoint, I would honestly recommend that you speak to a grant writer, someone who's way more well versed in that area. That is definitely not my lane. But then the last piece that I'll add to that is, there are different ways for you to, of course, acquire business credit funding. And there are, and I don't know if I can access it right now, but if you remind me during the time you guys are speaking, I'll be happy to provide a resource for a company that you can evaluate, you can interview, and see if they will be a great resource for you to help establish the business line of credit that you may be looking for and maybe needing to access.
Okay, that's awesome. And I hope, Cherie, that answers your question. And so I don't know, CJ, what you think, sir? Getting a couple of nuggets today?
Oh yeah, for sure. This is mainly the biggest thing that's standing out to me is just building those small habits and trying to figure out how to. I feel like there's such a drastic decrease in lifestyle spending from, going back to your earlier point, from 99% to my goal is to get to 30%. That's my goal. That's a really steep decrease. So I guess my question is how would one go about looking to do that? Like, do you recommend they contact someone like yourself to handle that? Is that, or what's your response to that? Because that seems like such a big, like, what do I take away? All my vehicles,
and I think that's a good question. That's a great question because somebody just going from balling out to living at 40%. That's not overnight.
Just giving yourself a pay cut.
At 30%. Hold on, dog. Hold on. I didn't hear that recommendation.
So here's two ways to do that, because we can do it on our own. But yes, if you find that you're still not finding your blind spots like I was not finding mine, that's when I recommend bringing in a professional. Yeah. But what you can do on your own is you can literally lay out your budget. I call it a spending plan, and lay out all of the different categories. And if you would like to request one that is comprehensive in nature, you can go to my website, ashaundadavis.com, and request a personal financial spreadsheet. And the last tab of the spreadsheet is the spending plan or the budget. And so we do a really great job of itemizing most any and everything that you could think about. Then we leave space for you to title it, right? So if there's something that we may not have caught that's important, let's call it subscriptions. You aggregate, total up all the subscription that you currently pay for, put it in that line, or you can break it out however you so choose. So that's the first. You need to see what you're spending your money on. But then I'm gonna tell you how I really get my clients. And when I say get them, I'm talking about how I anchor them into buying into my philosophy and my system. It is going through a process of reviewing their bank accounts over a 3-month period so that we can discover what is truly what is your true truth? What is your real truth? So a lot of times we estimate, I spend, $50 on dining out. But did you really mean to say $250 based on January, February, and March? You see what I mean? So sometimes we underestimate in many categories, and other times we overestimate. Which usually still brings us out balanced, right? In regards to the surplus. But if you literally go back and just look at what has occurred over a 90-day period and begin to identify what your average is, that's going to give you a real great indicator of what you do and then how to shave it if it needs to be shaved.
I think I want to take a moment and highlight Ms. Davis in this moment of what she just said, because when she's talking about that spending plan and that amazing Excel sheet that when I go to it, I'm like, you know, but I want to thank you for that, because when you were talking about, just writing out some of your expenses, and of course it says in the Bible to, write the vision and make it clear. And a lot of times people just look at that towards, that great destiny that, God has for us, or whatever case would be. But it's actually when it comes to your health and wellness, when it comes to, your relationship, when it comes to your finances, you have to write out, like, my dining out was $400+. I'm just going to just say to myself. And so when I went through a month,
Mhm.
and I think I was still kind of lying about some stuff on the lower. That's before, like, the little quick cash $10
Uh-huh.
turkey necks or something, right?
Uh-huh.
So, and when you start to look at that, you're like, huh? And then you couple that with the credit card,
Yes.
couple that with, the fly by night stuff that you happen to do. You start saying, there goes $800.
Just
And so, it was amazing, to whereas I said to myself in the beginning, okay, well, I make XYZ. I'm going to bring a financial on board. Oh, Lord, how much do I have to pay her? And then when she found like $1,200 that I was just blowing, I was like, oh, okay. There was nothing to the expense of her at that point.
mhm.
And then, that's my first test. The second testimony would be, my credit card. I think it was like 2,500 or something like that. And
Mhm.
over the course of some months, I had, saved a certain amount based upon her, her guidance. And then she actually walked with me to the credit card website. I had to share my screen, and she said, "Okay, now click on it." And I was like, wait, hold on. I'm about to do what? And that clicking on it and that zero balance, it did something to me. And I look towards that every single month of kind of keeping some things a certain line, so I'll never have to go back to that moment again, right?
Mhm.
But when you begin to look at certain things and add some things out, you just realize how much of an enemy that you are to yourself with your finances. So I just wanted to throw that out there and just say thank you to you, Miss Davis, because even though it sounds like it makes sense,
Mhm.
we won't click when we're supposed to, and we won't not buy that burger when we're supposed to.
Mhm. You're absolutely right. And I think, we have to give ourselves grace when we aren't yet of the mindset to click and pay off, or we're not of the mindset to not to go purchase that steak, whatever, burger, whatever. But I think with you, Elam, there were incremental steps that you were making tremendous progress in,
Mm.
right? We had gotten you into the habit of literally saving over what, $300 a month, and that hadn't been a part of your history in the past. Clearly had it, but hadn't been saving it, and now you're kind of created that discipline. And then it just got to a place where, man, we just have a small balance that's just lingering out there. And we can literally eliminate this debt, and it is no longer a thought process, and you're still in a pretty great cash position.
Mm.
So that little nudge, that I provide was just to say, your desire to me was, I want to be debt free. I want to be credit card debt free. And sometimes we hold on to baggage that we can literally let go of. And
Right.
that day was your day to let it go.
Right. I think we lost CJ, him and his hamster wheel, AOL, internets or whatever. But, we're rounding out about an hour, and I didn't know if there were any other. I know we started asking a couple questions, and if anybody else has any, we got a couple of minutes left. Any other key maybe that you didn't touch on that we just want to throw to you to see, there you go. There go the hamster and the wheel must be running again. What's up, CJ? How you doing, man? We about done. So
I'm good. I'm outside to my internet a little spot.
But any other points that we happen to miss, or any other topics that maybe you just wanted to maybe expand on in the next couple of minutes that, just to share with the audience?
Yeah, I think we all need to recognize that money is simply a tool, and it's a tool that we control, right? The same when we go into a toolbox, we pick up a tool and we use it. Money is just that. Money does not define you. It does not make you. So please keep in mind that you are the master of your destiny. You are the architect of your financial house. And so when you begin to think about it that way, I pray that you'll be a little bit more serious tomorrow around whatever area in your life you might find is a weakness, right? So then that brings me to my second point. Identify and celebrate how well you do with finances, right? Identify 1 or 2 things that you do exceptionally well with your finances and celebrate that. I think oftentimes we're always trying to fix something that we don't celebrate what we do well. And so therefore the focus is on what we got to fix and not on what we've been successful at for a while. I know it's a small shift, but I'm telling you, the more we can praise ourselves, then the more we'll want to do better. And so now those areas of weaknesses aren't as daunting when we start working on them. Now, don't pat yourself on the back so much where you feel like, okay, weaknesses I can get to tomorrow. No, today's the day. Today's the day to fix 1 or 2 areas in your financial life. Be it your mindset, be it your behaviors for congruency, be it looking at your spending plan on a weekly basis. And I said weekly. Some people are like, oh, weekly? Oh, it's already set up. So now you just have to remind yourself what you said that you were going to do, right? If you haven't yet automated your savings and investments, automate those. But then I think it's really about, listen, we're in the last quarter of this year. What can you realistically do in one of those 5 areas to improve on by year end? Make that your goal. So again, I think it's important to look at it long range. I think it's then important to look at it midstream and then short term, right? What can you tackle in the next 4 months that will move your needle forward?
Is there do you have a sheet on your website? Was that what you mentioned earlier? I think you mentioned the budget one earlier, but like a goal template on your site where maybe someone can get an idea of like what type of short-term and long-term goals to create?
So I don't have a goal sheet on my website. However, if you email me, I do have a document that asks you 3 very important questions that will help you unpack your goals in a 1-year time frame, in a 2 to 4, and a 4 to 10. And I'd be more than happy to have my assistant email that over to you come tomorrow. So if you email me, you can either do a couple of things. You can still go on my website, ashaundadavis.com, and there's a contact me button, I believe it's called, and just put in their goal worksheet. Place your name and of course your email, and we'll get that over to you.
Perfect.
And I think
I need direction. I need.
Yeah, I know. And actually, I was going to throw this in last time, and Ashaunda, I don't want to put you on the spot in this moment, but I think last time there was maybe a 15-minute or a couple of minutes that you were able to kind of give a consultation to anybody who mentions Greater Works Tabernacle. Are we in that space to whereas some of the listeners that are here, they can reach out and maybe have 5, 10, 15-minute consultation with you? Is there anything inside of your structure that exists there?
Yes. So I just looked at my calendar, and I have approximately 10 spaces for the rest of this month where I can take on a consultation. So I say that because I only want serious professionals who want to walk away with tremendous value to jump on my website now. And literally there's a link that's my calendar link. You identify, select, and submit 2 days and 2 times that work best for you. And I'll even give as much for you all, at least a 30-minute consultation. In some cases that blends into a 45-minute consultation if I feel like there's progress that we can make inside of those additional 15 minutes. So I have 10 slots right now for the rest of the month that I can offer a consultation to Greater Works Tabernacle congregation.
That is awesome. Okay. Because listen, I had to pay for all that, so y'all getting some free stuff. Y'all getting some free stuff, so that's really good. CJ, what you think, man?
Yeah. I just put it on the screen, so hopefully people take advantage of it.
Yeah, that's absolutely awesome. And want to take a moment, Miss Davis, if you could just let everybody know, where to follow you, and how can they get in contact with. I know you put your website, but maybe just shoot it up there one more again, and then any other ways that people can get in contact with you as you just continue to bless the community with just financial responsibility.
Yeah, absolutely. So listen, a couple things. My website also has where you can purchase my book, Wealth Over Riches, 10 Principles to Shift from Looking Rich to Building Wealth Habits. And the reason why I say that is because there's somebody on this call that's thinking, you know what, I'm too embarrassed about where I am financially to even have that 30-minute consultation, even though she said it was free, right? There's somebody who's like, you know what, I'm behind the 8 ball. I definitely don't want to discuss it. I probably can't even make up the time lost. Somebody might be facing retirement within 4 to 5 years. The same way it's never too late to, all right, Jesus. The same way it's never too late to accept Christ into your heart. It's never too late to get started on your financial restructuring.
Oh, don't do that. Don't do that. Okay.
I've never said that.
Hold on.
So I know that was a download from him. So please don't hold yourself back. Procrastination is the thief of all progress and joy.
That's strong.
Okay, so but I also want you to get a copy of my book because I think that's a great foundation. I think that's a great bridge. But you can find me on Instagram. I have 2 pages. If you want to see some of my personal life, just look for Ashaunda Davis. Just see all business related content, encouragement and inspiration. You can find me at AD_the financial advisor. AD_the financial advisor. On Instagram, you'll find me as Ashaunda Davis. On Facebook, you'll find me as Ashaunda Davis. So as you guys can tell, I have a heart to serve. I have a heart to bring our community to the next standard of living and lifestyle. And I want to issue a challenge real quick, and I'm done. So I've gotten to a place, I'm single and I don't have any children yet. I say that because I have well over $1 million of life insurance. And I've gotten to a place where my mom, my dad will be taken care of, my siblings will be taken care of, and my 6 nieces and nephews will be taken care of. Beyond them, then what? Right? Beyond them, who can I leave an impact or create an impact for? And I began to think about, while I'm living, I'm dedicating time to organizations and I'm serving in organizations and, we create and raise funds for organizations. But what about your legacy beyond when you walk in this earth, right? And what about your legacy beyond just yours, your family? I want to challenge everyone who either A, has a life insurance policy, B, is eligible for more, or C, needs to get one. Designate somewhere between 5 to 10% to a nonprofit like your church. Follow me here. 5 to 10%. Let's say you have let's for easy math's sake, let's say you have a $1 million life insurance policy. What's 5% of $1 million? $50K? Is that right? Because 10% is 100, right?
Right.
So
right.
Let's say we had 10 people who attend you all's church who are going to pass away at different times in life, but $50K comes in from every single family member. Just for example, even if it's $5,000, you know how much that could bless the ministry if they're one of the beneficiaries in your policies?
That's real. That's real.
Don't tell Pastor, you might start taking us out.
Oh yeah. I saw Bishop walk in the back there or whatever, but
right. That's real.
That actually that checked me real quick. That was a good nugget right there.
So I just want to leave that challenge and that nugget with you guys. It's something that I've committed to doing. I have 2 nonprofits on one of my newest policies. so I can make sure I'm doing something beyond while I'm here. So thank you for having me. It's been a plum-pleasing pleasure, as Les Brown says.
Yeah, I like that. CJ, I guess I got to redo my I gotta go back and redo my life because I don't have that portion on there.
Yeah.
And I know, Miss Davis, we talked about it, but I just haven't. One thing about you that I do love from a coaching perspective, you will definitely bear down on a brother or whatever, but it really a lot of time it's up to me to execute on it.
Mm-hmm.
And growth is a continuous process. So God knows my heart, and I'm getting there.
Yeah, I would definitely be reaching out. I know we actually had a consultation before. Yeah, I'll definitely be reaching out again to help with some new things I'm working on.
Oh yeah. Hey, listen, listen, CJ, you've been rocking. You gotta tuck some of that away.
Right. Exactly. I need to be
and CJ, congratulations to you for taking a huge leap of faith.
Thank you.
Right.
It's
awesome.
not easy mentally, and it's not easy in the execution of things, but it's worth it.
So worth it. And it's like you said earlier about the mindset. I had what they call a poor mindset and didn't realize it. And so when I should have been investing in myself or looking at all the plethora of information on YouTube, I was busy watching ESPN or replacing that with something that wasn't being an asset to my life. So that's vital.
Yeah, transformation is progress.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we're just gonna wrap up here. Miss Davis, thank you so much again. I know this is probably maybe the third or fourth time you had a chance to bless Greater Words Tabernacle with just the knowledge that just helps. And every single time, 100% of the time, people to us and they're just like, oh my goodness, I had to bring her on board or whatever case may be, and to my business or what have you. So thank you so much. Thank you for the offer of the 30-minute consultation. If you want to just share that website one more again. And then I think, I don't know whether to say this, but I think you have another book coming soon, right? So if you want to, I don't know whether you want to sprinkle that, real quick or whatever.
So I'll tell you this, definitely jump on my website to be part of my email campaign. I have when I tell you I'm so excited about this project, I'm trying to maintain my composure. I'm so excited. I don't want to give too much away too soon because of the powers that be. They don't know all of what's going on just yet. But I think it's something that particularly Black men will be blessed by, elevated by, and it's going to come in a couple of different formats, modalities that's going to assist you in your learning process. And then also there's something that's coming out. It's going to be online, totally online. It'll be kind of me in your ear, training you, helping you, but I can't give that away fully just yet. But if you jump on my email list, you will be the first to know.
And, just real quickly, this is how it's going to sound. You better pay that bill.
Yeah.
You better not buy that burger.
Look, Ms. Davis, we definitely will be talking.
Because you're make that investment, wasn't you?
You're touching on some really valid points.
Did you tithe yet?
Right. Thanks. I need to catch you up on some things that we're doing over here. You talked about the things you're doing to build up the economy of the Black family and to build up the Black man. And one of the 3 steps of one of my organizations I'm working on is just economic improvement and economic empowerment for the Black family or underserved communities. And that right there, what you said, is so vital. Even when it comes to even just a nugget like your life insurance, put in such and such aside, like leaving that legacy, man. I commend you, and like I'm honored to even through Elam know who you are and have your ear, and so just you're an inspiration. I want to say that to my generation. So please keep going and keep changing lives out here.
Thank you. I most certainly will.
Don't you use that credit card?
Stop it.
Don't you pull that credit card out. Hey man, and so this is awesome. Hey CJ, we got 2 more weeks of the Empower Conference, right? So next week we got this
very special guest.
Talk about a couple of things with regard to some relationship stuff. We're gonna talk about next week, right?
Yep.
And then the week following we got
faith and fitness.
Yes, sir. We got health and fitness after that, and again, not only on Sundays, and we come before you representing our Bishop Chauncey King and also our First Lady as well. So we just not only we're able to get blessed on Sundays and throughout the week with certain aspects spiritually, but then there's also some pieces within our community, and finances is at the top of the list. It's God and money. It's good. People like family over everything. I'm like, that's a lie. Hold on. Hold on.
Yeah.
Hold on. You gotta pay the bill, family over everything. What? But it's just so important. So thank you so much, Miss Davis. We're gonna run your assistant down to come back and meet with us again for some more nuggets as time goes by. So look forward to your inbox blowing up from us.
Yeah, we gotta wrap it up because you see my face is slowly blending in with the trees.
I was trying not to throw that joke in.
Minute by minute, it's getting worse, and I'm just like, we gotta keep it moving.
Oh my God!
We go see that T-shirt and we see those pearly whites.
Yep. We gotta wrap it up because this is getting bad.
All right, I'm done. I'm out. I'm done.
Oh man. All right, you gotta close it out because I don't want to just keep showing my teeth.
All right, well, thank you guys so much for joining us. Ms. Davis, thank you so much as well. Tune in next week, 7 p.m., as we continue the Empowerment Conference, and brought to you by the Greater Works Tabernacle. And feel free to join us at 11 a.m. on every Sunday. You can also join us online on the Greater Works Tabernacle YouTube and the Facebook Greater Works Tabernacle as well. Take care. God bless. And in the words of CJ, good night.